10 facts about Algeria. Algeria is the largest country in Africa, but also in the Mediterranean basin with an area of more than 2 million square kilometers. Traces also reveal that this territory would have been populated for millions of years. And since then, kingdoms and regimes have followed one another before giving rise to Algeria as we know it today. So, are you ready to learn some fascinating things? Because today we are going to take a little tour of Algeria in 10 interesting facts. Before the video starts, please take time to leave a like and especially to subscribe to Africa Revealed channel. Tell us in the comments what you would like to see in the future videos. Now on to the first fact. The Algerian flag. As with many of our videos, let's start by explaining the flag of our country of the day. And for Algeria, there is no shortage of symbols. This flag has varied a lot over the time, especially since the territory had seen a series of dynasties and was therefore rather unstable in the way it was governed. Nowadays, the Algerian flag is the same since the country's independence, and that is to say since July 5, 1962. The latter has the ambition to be a highlight of the cultural heritage of the country, and there are nevertheless several interpretations of its elements. According to Malek Shebel, a recognized Algerian anthropologist, the green represents Islam and the white the purity. But for others, the two colors represent religion, while the crescent and the star can be seen respectively as symbols of the periodic light and the permanent light. Finally, another theory holds that the green stripe represents the wealth of the earth and the agriculture, while the white is a symbol of peace. One thing is certain, the crescent and the red star are Muslim symbols. The star also has a clear but powerful symbol, the 5 pillars of Islam. The animal of Algeria. If there is a national animal to represent the Algerian nation, it is the dromedary. In the Algerian culture, the dromedary is the noble animal par excellence. This is explained by its color, its appearance, its morphology. The camel is used as a saddle animal perfectly suited to the race and raids of the Sahara desert that constitutes the territory. These animals can measure up to 3 meters long and 2.4 meters high. This typical emblem of the Middle East and Africa, the dromedary has managed to adapt to its particularly hostile environment. It is a very enduring animal despite the overwhelming heat of the region. As a result, this animal has served as the only means of transport for a very long time for both people and goods. But today, this animal is especially famous for its breeding in the country. It is estimated that the Algerian livestock includes about 150,000 heads. This breeding is undergoing a significant expansion, especially with the strengthening of the certain measures in the country, such as drilling of wells along the routes. In addition, the financial aid granted to the camel breeders has increased, and this has motivated some to launch the production. Thus, camels are raised for their meat, but also for their milk. The beginnings of Islam. It is impossible not to talk about Islam, which is the most practiced religion in Algeria, as 99% of the inhabitants are Muslims. More than a belief, Islam acts on the way of life of the Algerians and holds a very particular influence on the functioning of the country. But where does this importance of Islam in the country come from? It is simple. This religion has been an integral part of the culture for more than 1,000 years. It was first introduced to Algeria in 670 in the context of the Muslim conquest of North Africa. This conquest was carried out under the orders of the Umayyads, who were a very important Muslim dynasty at the time. Its name derives from the great uncle of the Prophet Muhammad, and their dominance over the territory lasted several hundred years. Thus, the first mosque ever founded in Algeria is the Sidi Ghanem Mosque, located in the city of Mila in 678. Many Berbers converted to Islam and eventually formed their own Muslim dynasties, such as the Zirids and the Hamadids. An ancient populated land. Yes, dynasties have long ruled the Algerian territory. But long before that, populations already existed, and they go back to several thousand, even millions of years. Some archaeological sites have detected the presence of civilization in Algeria about 2 million years ago. Algeria contains several precious archaeological sites that have helped to enlighten and satisfy the thirst for knowledge of researchers. The cave of Afalou, for example, allowed to reveal the existence of small statuettes at least 10,000 years ago. Natural resources. In addition to being full of archaeological gifts, the country of Algeria is naturally rich in certain materials. Among them, oil and gas are a major economic force for the country. Algeria is the fifth largest producer and fourth largest exporter of natural gas in the world. It mainly sends its production to Spain, with billions of cubic meters of natural gas being transported through what is called a gas pipeline. The other precious resource for Algeria is oil. It is the 13th producer in the world. The country owes its power in the field of oil to several drilling sites, but most important of them remains the Hassi Messaoud deposit. It is the largest oil deposit on the entire African continent. This production attracts many investors from all over the world and bring a good wealth to Algeria. The currency. The Algerian currency is quite complicated to understand and deserves a whole fact in this video. The currency is the dinar since 1964. This currency is not the most stable, but to give you an idea, 1 euro has a value of 159 Algerian dinars. However, in black, the euro has a higher value. The exchange rate is higher when you don't go through an official institution to change your currency. Therefore, we might as well say that nobody goes to the bank to exchange his currency. And given that the euro is a much stronger currency than the Algerian dinar, the European currency is in great demand in the country. This makes the euro a very easy currency to exchange, and this is the origin of a whole business. The limestone of the Mzab. It should be noted that Algeria is a country with many places classified as World Heritage by UNESCO. The limestone valley of Mzab is one of them, and it is definitely a fascinating place in Algeria. Their atypical architecture makes the charm of this valley, which draws a trade route through the Sahara. The Mzab Valley was originally composed of fortified villages inhabited primarily by refugees from Tahert. The latter were fleeing persecution and ended up settling there in a way of life that has endured with age. The houses are arranged around the mosque in the form of a circle and were all built to the same dimensions and configuration. This shows an architectural genius for the time. The wedding. If you have the opportunity to attend an Algerian wedding, don't miss it under any circumstances. This is one aspect of the culture that you should discover. First, the bride must leave the family home under the wing of her father, as is the tradition. She is then welcomed by a brass band with the use of the women and joins her future husband. By the way, you may not know it, but in Algeria, the bride changes her dress during the celebration. She dresses in a Kabyle dress, then ends up wearing a white wedding dress at the end of the ceremony. And speaking of celebration, we must admit that Algerians are really into parties. It is impossible to see someone who does not dance during a wedding party. The will is also evident in the food. They feast as it should be, with a banquet prepared at length and almost at will as the food is abundant. Of course, Algeria being a Muslim country, alcohol is not allowed at rendezvous. Nevertheless, it proves that there is no need for alcohol or artifices to enjoy a party or show joy. Unique recipes. There is so much to say about Algeria's culinary culture, but let's try to get to the point for this 9th point. First, there are some must-haves known all over the world, like the iconic couscous. Now, you have to know that Algeria is so vast that all kinds of recipes have been invented there. Some are fish-based and come from the north of the country, where it is more popular. But as we mentioned earlier, dromedaries are also raised for their meat, which can be found in many dishes. Their milk is also used to make some unusual cheeses. Another recipe that is quite famous even abroad is the keftas, small meatballs. They are not really from Algeria, but you can find them in a lot of Maghreb countries, of which Algeria is a part of. Finally, the Oriental pastries are certainly unanimous. In fact, there is something for everyone. If you are not afraid of sugar, go for it. The Castle of Hydra. For this last fact, let us introduce you to the curious castle of Hydra. This white building is said to be the oldest in its municipality, as it was built in the late 1700s. At that time, this house was inhabited by a Turkish general named Ali Aga, and the initial name of the building has never been disclosed, which creates a mystery around this building. Thus, since its name was unknown, the place was named Hydra Castle. So far, we can say that there is nothing to be surprised about, but we haven't told you everything about this castle. The latter was used as a residence for the Council of Sweden and Norway shortly after the beginning of the French colonization around 1832. This did not last very long, as Napoleon III turned it into apartments from 1865. Then, in 1902, it is a Dutchman who bought the house before giving it to the city of Algiers 40 years later. This castle has thus passed from hand to hand, but today its final purpose is to serve as the French embassy in Algeria. Even once Algeria possesses the castle definitively, it does not appropriate it completely. That is it for the 10 facts about Algeria. Which of these 10 facts surprised you the most? Tell us in the comments. If you liked the video, put a like on it. We hope to see you soon, and in the meantime, don't forget to subscribe to our Africa Revealed channel.